CBT baseline notes, week 1, day 6. I have been heavily resisting. And so the things that are dragging me down, the things that I'm resisting, are the things that obviously persist and they need the most attention. And so the more I realize this, the more it drags me down, because I know there's a lot of work that I need to do. And it might be a case like with my previous experience with ED, where I was making a mountain out of a molehill, so to speak. And in my mind, in my emotions, in my levels of resistance, I think I was having a lot of physiological symptoms that blocked me from moving forward with regards to certain matters of intimacy. And in the end, I kind of felt like it was this brick wall inside of me that just I could not pass. And I was racking my brain. I was thinking, how can I navigate? How can I overcome this obstacle? But then eventually I accepted it, and I was starting to integrate different ideas about how to, circumnavigate this obstacle. If I couldn't overcome it, if I couldn't understand it and break it down, how could I circumnavigate it? And so it was like through acceptance and understanding that this is a part of me, that I then started becoming curious. And so this obstacle, I was like, okay, let's test it. Let's test what it is. Let's go prod, let's explore more about this. And so when I approached this brick wall, this huge obstacle in my life, I realized that it was a facade, that it was like a printing of a brick wall onto a massive sheet of paper. And so it wasn't real like I thought it was. It was a manifestation. It was a mechanism inside me to just help me prevent myself from doing difficult things. So I poked my finger through this freaking paper printed brick wall and just tore right through it. And so, figuratively speaking, when I did that in my psyche, it just, after I had heavily associated what this thing represented, what this thing was in my world, in my life. So once I did that, it just crumbled and it ceased to exist. Because I kind of called its bluff. So coming back to my heavy resistances these days, I'm in the journey to try and kind of better understand what they are. But I'm not yet accepting them. So maybe if that process still applies, I need to accept them. So when it comes to the daily activities, the whole the whole objective of these notes is to note down what I do, how much time I spend on them, as a rough outline of what I get up to then hopefully establish how effectively I'm using my time and where I could put more effort in. And ultimately, I just know that it's all, I'm just filling my time a lot with just stuff that I really, don't need to be doing. There are lots of social commitments, blah, blah, blah. But when it comes down to work, I am resistant. I'm so heavily resistant on doing the work. And by the work, I mean the stuff that I really should be doing. Like the things that I'm resisting, I think, are exactly the things that I need to be focusing on the most. And I think that it's coming from a much deeper knowing and a much deeper yearning inside of me to really express and get myself out there and do the things that I really want to do. But I'm so scared about those exact things because they're personal to me. I'm protective over them, and it's a ludicrous level of protection over these personal traits. Narratives in my head don't say, what if it all goes wrong? I don't hear that. It's just, I don't want to make myself uncomfortable, and I don't want to put myself at any kind of risk, whether it's asking people out on a date, because then it leads down to potential relationship and potential more demanding of time, and let them into the reality which I'm not quite comfortable with, my living circumstances, my income circumstances, my lack of previous experiences with relationships, lack of intimacy, all that kind of stuff. It weighs me down, and I would rather not get into that vulnerable space with other people. I don't want to share my vulnerabilities. So that's one area that I'm avoiding. And when it comes to success and career and that kind of thing, I have several ideas which I think could be really good and that I could love, and that are my babies. But I'm again so heavily resistant to actually push those ones forward. I'm staying in the conceptual stages. So I don't really know where to go, or maybe I do. Maybe I'm just suppressing them. But this is the crux of it. I need help with maybe facilitating some kind of breakthrough process through CBT that helps me, maybe in a similar way, break down the facade of all of these resistances and help me enrich my life the way I want it and stop holding myself back.